A nice feature native to Affinity Designer is the assets pane. And in this, you can think of it as kind of a collection of resources that you can have access to at any time. You can pull them from there and reuse them just like you see in these iPhone mockups. So I didn't actually create these. These come stock in Affinity Designer when you download the application. They do use an older version of the iOS San Francisco font library, so that's something to be aware of at this current version, which I think is, what do we got, 1.5.5. So future versions, I'm assuming they'll update that, so that might not even correspond to you. But needless to say, to get to the assets panel, you'll go to View, Studio, and Assets. And on my preferences, it's kind of set up in its own pane. As you see here, I like to float it to the left to start with. Just so I can drag and drop things at my leisure. At the moment, there's only an iOS library for assets. These are very accurate designs. It might be a little far behind, but at Affinicasts, we're going to offer resources like this once new software designs and stuff comes out from Apple and hopefully Android as well. So to use assets, you simply grab the asset you like and pull it into view. You can go ahead and tweak it just like this. If you duplicate these and modify something, the others should update as well. So say we'll change this color of this toggle to blue, stuff like that. Those things update in real time. It does not work, however, if you update. Let me go ahead and dive deeper in this layer. If you update something like just the color of the toggle there and then pull a new one into the view, it will retain what's already saved as the asset. And that goes in deeper with symbols. As you notice, the layers on the right here have an orange hue to them, and those actually identify as symbols, which we'll get into in a different video. So think of assets as just a collection of things that you might reuse in your design. UI designers, for example, will use this quite a bit. It's very useful. If you're coming from Sketch, you can kind of treat it as a symbols panel, but Affinity Designer has both assets and symbols. Again, we'll get into the symbols in a different video. So if you wanted to say create your own asset library, you can do so by clicking this drop down category to the top right. So you just create a new category, a new subcategory. A subcategory are these blocks right here, as you see. So one's called controls, messages, context. If we were to create a new one, it's called assets by default. You can rename these just by clicking that down arrow icon again and renaming the category. We'll just maybe do messages, something like that. And you can also rename the subcategories. So let's just do chat bubbles. Okay, so in this instance, these didn't exist in that iOS library before, but say for instance I wanted to use them on my own design, really native to my own work, you can go ahead and add these just by dragging, and you'll see this blue highlight to the left here. Once it does that, you can go ahead and let go, and you should see that design show up there. There is one of these designs already in the iOS version, but this one, my case, is unique because it has my own text and stuff like that. So anything you tweak, you can go ahead and add as an asset and later drag to the canvas. If you wanted to create a subcategory, go ahead and do that just by creating a new one. Maybe we'll call this one like Affinicasts. If I can spell that right, I think that's it. Affinicasts, something like that. And I think I have another library I downloaded before. Vector. It's a PSD, but we could pull in maybe from that. Maybe we'll open it in Affinity Designer. So say we wanted to have these as open assets. These are vector from applypixels.com. Go ahead and check them out. They're free. If I paste this in, just for now, say the size is to our liking, we can go ahead and add that. And you can do so to the remainder of those. I won't show all of those in the video here, but It's just something you can do. You can later save these, just like we would with maybe color palettes. You can export assets or import assets, and you can embed them in the current document as well. So at any time, any document you have open, this assets panel can actually be present in multiple projects. So that's pretty powerful. So as you can see, being a UI designer, you can go ahead and scale applications pretty fast going this route. If you create reusable components like the search box, the keyboard, for instance, for iOS, even if you're doing wireframing, I found it very useful for web design, or even just application design in terms of user research and all of that stuff. Boundaries are endless there. So this has been just kind of a quick overview of assets. In upcoming tutorials, we'll talk deeper about symbols we aforementioned, and I hope you enjoyed this.